Sabalenka go is off after Eala's final tickets cost more than center court, 7,500 seats. That's the entire capacity of this week's tournament in Washington, smaller than most high school football stadiums. And this week, seats there were reportedly changing hands on the resale market for close to $1,000 each, making it, by some measures, the most expensive women's tennis ticket in North America right now. The world's #1 player isn't even in the building. She's 400 miles north in Toronto. What the tournament's own chairman just admitted publicly about why explains a lot about where women's tennis actually stands right now. If you've been tracking every scheduling decision and every ticket surge around Alex Eala all year, you already know why this channel exists. Let's get into the numbers, because they're genuinely staggering. First, let's deal directly with the headline, because it deserves honesty before anything else. Aryna Sabalenka has not actually said anything publicly about the ticket surge around Eala's matches in DC this week. There's no quote, no statement, nothing on record. That silence isn't proof of anger, and it isn't proof of indifference either, it's just silence. And it's worth being upfront about that instead of inventing a reaction that hasn't happened. What we do have on record is context that makes that silence worth paying attention to, and that's where this story actually gets interesting. Start with what happened on court 2 nights ago, because it's the reason this ticket story exists at all. Eala trailed defending DC Open champion Leylah Fernandez 5-1 in the second set of the round of 16, 2 games away from an early flight home. She won 6 of the next 7 games and closed the match out in a tiebreak. Afterward, she talked about being proud of how she fought and stayed in the match. 48 hours later, the resale market for her semifinal against Naomi Osaka completely detonated. Here's the uncomfortable math nobody in the WTA's front office has had to publicly answer for until now. Sabalenka is the world #1. Coco Gauff is ranked 3rd. Swiatek is ranked 2nd. None of them are currently the highest grossing ticket in women's tennis this week. A 20-year-old ranked 28th is. The entire architecture of the tour, court assignments, prize money, marketing spend, is built on the assumption that ranking equals demand. What's happening in Washington this week is a direct challenge to that assumption. Rankings sell trophies. Right now, Eala is selling the room. And Sabalenka's own week in Toronto reads almost like a subplot running quietly next to this story, instead of the headline it would normally be. She withdrew from the Canadian Open last year, citing fatigue. Earlier this year, she publicly called the WTA schedule insane and said she'd risk fines rather than play through it. At the Miami Open final in March, she snapped at a fan midpoint and later apologized on record for what she herself called being rude. That's the world #1's documented relationship with crowds right now. Meanwhile, in Washington, 10,000 miles from Manila, the crowd itself has become the actual story. Look at the venue first, because the scale matters. The tennis center hosting this event holds roughly 7,500 seats total. That's small, genuinely comparable to a high school football stadium with a net down the middle. In a normal year, weekday sessions there reportedly draw thin, unremarkable crowds. This week, sessions sold out days in advance. Then the resale market did exactly what basic economics predicts when a fixed, tiny supply runs into a wave of buyers who refuse to be told no. A local forum thread from a few days ago, filled with DC residents rather than Filipino fan accounts, documented semifinal and weekend resale seats reportedly crossing $700, with premium boxes reportedly touching close to $1,000. One local commenter put it plainly, Eala is simply a massive draw for the area. That's a DC resident telling other DC residents why they can't get in the door. Then the tournament itself confirmed exactly why on the record. The chairman told reporters that at least 80%, possibly more, of every single ticket request the tournament received this week was specifically about when Eala was playing. He went further than that, actually saying he genuinely believed the real number was higher, that people were downplaying it when they said 80%, and that it was closer to virtually all of the requests. Read that again. A tournament with Naomi Osaka in the draw, Venus Williams on the grounds, and legitimate American men's stars headlining the other side of the event, and the chairman is telling reporters that nearly every ticket inquiry was about the player ranked 28th in the world. He also revealed something tournament executives almost never admit publicly, that his team had specifically recruited Eala into this event back in early spring as a deliberate business decision. The return on that decision has apparently arrived in dollars, exactly as planned. For everyone who's been saying for over a year that this player was going to fundamentally break the normal ticket economics of women's tennis, and got dismissed as biased or premature for saying it, this is the receipt, not a vibe. A tournament chairman confirming the number, on the record, to reporters. And it's not just tournament executives saying this now. Players themselves have started saying it too. On a podcast earlier this year, 2 former ATP Top 10 pros had an exchange that's since been picked up and verified by multiple outlets. One asked directly whether Eala is currently the biggest draw in women's tennis, bigger than Sabalenka, bigger than Gauff. The other's answer was an unambiguous yes, calling the whole situation crazy. Two former tour professionals on record, ranking a player outside the top 25 above the actual world number one in raw drawing power. That's not a fan opinion, that's a locker room verdict delivered publicly, and one of them didn't stop there. He added something that reframes the entire story, suggesting there's likely some real jealousy building among other players on tour toward a player breaking through this fast without being ranked inside the traditional top tier. Sabalenka hasn't commented on any of this publicly, but according to that same insider account, resentment inside the tour around this exact dynamic is apparently already real, whether or not anyone's put a name to it on the record yet. You don't need a direct quote to notice a silence that's louder than it looks. It's worth knowing who's actually saying this too, because credibility matters here. The player making that comparison spent 15 years on tour, reached a career-high ranking inside the top 15, and won multiple ATP titles across a long career playing the exact venues Eala is currently filling: Indian Wells, Miami, Washington. He has no sponsorship stake in her, no reason to inflate this. He compared her drawing power directly to a men's player known for pulling standing room-only crowds across multiple continents, and described the crowds Eala pulls in his own word as insane. When a 15-year tour veteran with nothing to gain says the ranking system is misrepresenting who the biggest actual star in the sport is, that's not something the tour gets to wave off. That's something it has to reckon with. The chairman's 80% admission signals something bigger than one sold-out weekend in Washington too. The next 6 weeks are effectively an unprecedented pressure test for the entire tour. Toronto opens August 2nd and Eala heads directly there from DC. Cincinnati follows in early August. Then the US Open starting August 30th at a stadium with roughly 23,000 seats, more than 3 times the size of the room she just sold out completely in Washington. If this same pattern holds the way it's held in Miami, Dubai, and now DC, the tour is going to hit a decision point it spent decades avoiding entirely. Do you see the show court based on ranking, or based on who's actually generating ticket revenue? Because right now, those two answers don't point at the same player. There's a real demographic engine underneath all of this too, and it isn't going away after this week. Immigration research groups estimate roughly 46,000 Filipinos living in the greater Washington metro area alone. Multiply that footprint out across the rest of the summer swing: Toronto, Cincinnati, New York, where diaspora populations are significantly larger than DC's. If that's accurate, the resale premium being reported in Washington this week isn't the ceiling on what's coming. It's closer to the floor. Go back to Wednesday night for a second. 2 games from an early exit, down 5-1 against a defending champion, with the crowd and the momentum both working against her. She won 6 of the next 7 games anyway. Asked afterward what it's like having thousands of fans fly across the world just to watch her play, she didn't really answer the question about herself. She reframed it entirely, saying she thought the more accurate question was what it means right now to be Filipino. That's reportedly her exact quote. That's the sentence that actually explains the ticket prices better than any market analysis could. Every seat sold in Washington this week isn't just paying to watch a tennis player, it's paying for a reflection of something much bigger than one match. So here's where this actually stands: a 7,500-seat stadium. Resale tickets reportedly touching close to $1,000. A tournament chairman saying, on the record, that virtually every ticket request was about one specific player, a former top 15 pro ranking her above the actual world number one in drawing power. A 20-year-old who was 2 games from elimination and finished the match anyway. And the real world number one, 400 miles away, in a different country, saying nothing publicly about any of it. She doesn't have to say a word for this story to land the way it's landing. So here's the question worth actually staking a real number on. If Eala beats Osaka in the semifinal and takes the DC title on Sunday, does she walk into the US Open as the single biggest ticket in tennis? Full stop. Bigger than Sabalenka? Bigger than Gauff? Or does the ranking system still get final say over who headlines Arthur Ashe? Drop your prediction in the comments and put an actual number on it, not just a vibe. If you're planning on arguing about where her ceiling actually sits over these next 6 weeks, subscribe, because this is where that gets tracked all the way through Toronto, Cincinnati, and into New York.